Hey guys, welcome to today's presentation. Today's topic is identity shifting, the cheat code to success. Let's go through the overview. Today we're gonna discuss the identity trap, the pattern beneath your patterns, the subconscious that defines your reality, the nervous system that protects the old self, the system that rewrites your internal code. Then we're gonna take a review and offer some action steps that you can take to cheat code your way to success. Let's start with the identity trap and what the identity really is. Identity is not your personality, is not your preferences, is not your goals, is not your dream. It's the internal story that your subconscious holds about who you are. This story runs deep in the background, and this story is shaping your behavior automatically. Your identity is formed through the repeated emotional experiences, the way you were treated, what you were praised for, what you were punished for, the roles you learned to play during your life, the strategies you use to feel safe, etc. Your subconscious doesn't choose your identity logically. It builds from whatever has been repeated, familiar, and emotionally intense. Every experience in life becomes kind of vote that shapes how you see yourself. Over time, these patterns create a different version of you, a blueprint that the nervous system is trying to protect at all costs. How is your identity shaped in the subconscious? The subconscious is shaped most intensely between the ages from when you were born and 7 years of age. Also, the brain is more in the theta state, the state in absorption of information in these ages. As a child, you internalize everything. You internalize the tone of voice, emotional climate in your home, the rules of survival in your home and with your friends. Also, what gets you love, what gets you punishment, who you must be and how you must behave to stay safe. And all those shape your identity, and your identity becomes anchored through the repetition, through emotions, and through social feedback. Each repeated pattern strengthens neural pathways. What is repeated becomes normal. What is normal becomes me, becomes my identity. The subconscious stores this identity in the limbic system, which is responsible for emotional memory, in the brainstem, which is responsible for survival patterns, and in the autonomic nervous system, which controls automatic behavior. This means that the identity is not a thought, it's physiological pattern. Let's talk about why the subconscious holds on so tightly to its identity. It's important to remember your subconscious has one job. It's keeping you alive by keeping things predictable. It sees any familiar pattern, even the painful pattern, as safer than the unknown. So the subconscious protects your identity, and it does it by repeating old emotions, reinforcing old beliefs, filtering your perception, biasing your decisions, pulling you back into familiar patterns. All this happens automatically without your awareness. You feel like you're choosing, but the choice is shaped by the old programming. Your identity directs your behavior. You don't behave according to your goals, you behave according to the identity you've rehearsed the longest. Let's talk about the examples here. If your identity is of someone who always struggles, then you automatically, subconsciously pick more difficult paths. You create complexity in things. You attract friction. You don't allow solutions to stay simple. If your identity is of someone who is invisible, then you pull back when the attention comes. You silence your voice when it's needed. You minimize yourselves to avoid being seen. If your identity is of someone who believes that success isn't safe, then you slow down right before breakthroughs. You avoid opportunities and you overwhelm yourself to justify quitting. Those patterns, they are not flaws. They are survival strategies from the older identity. It's important to remember your subconscious is resisting the unknown. Growth feels wrong to a system that is wired for familiarity. Even positive change can trigger internal alarms. The reason why new habits fail is because they feel unfamiliar. They conflict with the old emotional baseline. They challenge the identity that the nervous system is protecting. The subconscious is not loyal to your goals. It is loyal to what feels safe. And by safe, it is simply what is known. When the old identity fights the new one, when you try to act beyond your identity, your body reacts first. This friction feels like heavy, dense resistance in the body, mental fog, hesitation, spike of anxiety or internal pressure, a sense of disconnect, etc. Those are not signs that change is wrong. These are signs that an old identity is losing its grip. Your identity becomes a self-fulfilling loop. Your identity shapes your perception, emotional reactions, choices, relationships, standards, opportunities you notice, opportunities you ignore, etc. And because your actions stem from your identity, life keeps reflecting the same loops back to you because your nervous system is protecting the familiar. Your identity is shaping your behavior. Your behavior is shaping your experience you have. This gets reinforced in return and creates even stronger identity. It all is a cycle and becomes a cycle until you consciously interrupt it. Next part of our review presentation is the pattern beneath your patterns. And let's start with why patterns form. Habits aren't just behaviors, they are coping strategies your subconscious created to feel safe. The subconscious loves repetition because repetition means familiarity and familiarity means survival. So the pattern you repeat is never random. It's the safest truth your system knows. The path that protects you from any risks. Your patterns form around two questions your subconscious constantly asks. It's what keeps me safe and what is familiar enough to predict. Whenever these questions becomes your automatic behavior. It's important to know that you are not stuck because of discipline. You're stuck because your subconscious is loyal to an older version of you. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about keeping you inside the boundaries of what feels known. If the old identity expects struggle, your patterns will recreate struggle. If the old identity expects rejection, your patterns will prepare you for loss before anything happens. If the old identity expects limitation, your patterns will avoid expansion even when the opportunity is right in front of you. How your cycles form. Every pattern follows the same sequence. Trigger creates meaning, creates emotion, creates response, and creates the identity confirmed. Here is what it actually means. Trigger is something that happens in your environment. Meaning is something your subconscious assigns a familiar interpretation. Emotion, the body reacts based on an old memory. It reacts with tightness, fear, shame, urgency, shutdown, etc. Response is the way you act when your system learned a way ago. It could pull back, overthink, distract yourself, sabotage the opportunity, and in the end, the identity is confirmed. It's the result that reinforces the old story. Your subconscious just confirms, see, this is who I am. The loop repeats because the body believes it's protecting you. Your patterns repeat at every level. Your subconscious patterns show up everywhere. It shows in a way how you react to stress, how you handle opportunities, the relationships you attract, what you tolerate, what you pursue, how much risk you allow, how do you respond to success, how do you respond to discomfort. Change the situation, change the people, change the goal, but the pattern remains the same because it's the underlying expectation that hasn't changed. Your subconscious keeps recreating the same emotional weather because that weather feels familiar. Self-sabotage is kind of a protection. When the expansion of your subconscious, of your identity feels unsafe, then the nervous system chooses what it already knows. It picks the familiar struggle, the familiar delay, the familiar disappointment, etc. This is why you say, I want more, but your behavior still chooses less because it's used to it. To shift the identity, you must shift the underlying pattern. Identity changes when the subconscious updates its expectations. To break the loop, you start by changing the meaning, the emotional memory, the internal prediction, and the expectation of who you are supposed to be. When these shift, the pattern beneath the patterns dissolves, and the new identity becomes possible. Your subconscious defines your reality. How the subconscious interprets your world. Your subconscious is not symbolic, it's literal. It takes your emotional patterns, your internal beliefs, your self-statements, your expectations, and treats them as an instruction for how the life should respond to you. It doesn't ask if this is true, it asks, is this familiar? And whatever feels familiar becomes your default reality. You don't see your reality directly. Your life is filtered through the identity your subconscious is protecting. If the subconscious mind expects rejection, you read neutral behavior as threat. If If it expects failure, opportunities will feel invisible or unsafe. If it expects scarcity, abundance will feel overwhelming, risky, or too good to be true. Your subconscious sets the lens, and your perception follows. Reality is a mirror. It reflects your internal state. Reality is reflecting you. It mirrors your emotional baseline, your assumptions, your expectations, your practiced identity. Your outer world organizes itself around your inner world. Your reality is a mirror. How the identity gets reinforced. Identity is strengthened by two main forces. It's through repetition and through experience. This always happens to me is not an observation, it's an instruction. You're telling the subconscious what to recreate next. Your system listens and repeats. How to change the internal mirror? To change the identity, you must give the subconscious new evidence to work with. Not just new thoughts, but new emotional experiences, new responses, new interpretations. Over time, the mirror changes. And when the mirror shifts, the external world follows. This is what is called manifestation. The nervous system protects the old self. Your nervous system prioritizes your survival. Your nervous system has one primary goal, is to keep you alive. Biologically alive doesn't mean happy, it doesn't mean rich, it doesn't mean fulfilled or successful. It means staying within emotional states your system already understands. What is familiar feels safe. What is unfamiliar feels dangerous, even when it's positive. Why the change triggers protective responses? When you try to step into a new identity, your nervous system activates protection. The responses look like tension in the body, anxiety, urgency, overthinking, exhaustion, emotional shutdown, avoidance, distraction. These reactions do not mean that the goal is wrong. They mean this is unfamiliar. Stay where we know how to survive. Your nervous system defends the old self because the old self is predictable. How the system learns a new self. Your nervous system reshapes itself through repetition, emotional safety, small exposures to discomfort, and new expectations, teaching the brain that the new is safe. Neuroplasticity is your nervous system rewiring its tolerance. Each time you stay with the new feeling, without collapsing into old patterns, you strengthen your identity. Each time you stay with the new feeling, without collapsing into old patterns, you strengthen the new identity. The system that rewrites your internal code. Identity needs structure, not just intention. Identity changes because your subconscious is trained to accept the new version of you as safe, familiar, and normal. A new identity needs a system, something stable enough for the subconscious to lean on while it learns a new way of being. Without structure, the old identity always wins because the old identity has more repetition. Think of your system as a training ground. You install routines that signal stability, behaviors that reinforce who you are becoming, cues that remind your body of the new identity, constraints to limit the old patterns. Your subconscious changes from the consistent signals. What you feed your system becomes the output. If your inputs stay the same, your subconscious reproduces the same outputs. This includes the thoughts you rehearse, the emotions you sit in, the people you interact with, the habits you repeat, the environment you live in, etc. A new identity requires new inputs, repeated new inputs. Attach the new to what already exists. The fastest way to shift your identity is not by starting from scratch, it's attaching micro behaviors to routines you already do. After coffee, make a quick visualization. After gym, just do quick visualization or affirmation, how your body should look like. Before going to sleep, just do quick state akin to sleep, Never Goddard's technique, visualize, journal, write down your gratitudes. Just make new habits, make new routines, and assign them to your daily life. Micro behaviors bypass resistance and plant the seeds of new identity. What is the proof that the old self is losing control? Every micro action becomes evidence. Evidence that you do not respond as the old self anymore. You are capable of different baseline. The new identity is becoming real. The subconscious updates through repetition and proof. Each action is a message. This is who we are now. Build the momentum. Make the new identity the path of least resistance. Consistency comes from designing a system where the new identity is easier than the old one. The right behaviors happens automatically. The environment supports the change. Friction protects you from slipping backwards. When your system is well aligned, momentum builds on its own. The new identity becomes natural, not forced. Your goal is to build a structure where being the new you is simply the path of least resistance. Let's review some action steps to take today to start building new identity. Redefine what your subconscious considers safe. Shift the emotional associations behind your identity, not just goals you set on paper. Give your subconscious new evidence every day. Show it through action, not thought, that the old identity is no longer the one you operate from. Choose environments that reflect the new version of you. Your surroundings should reinforce your expansions, not your limitations. Expand your nervous system capacity to tolerate unfamiliar success. Learn to stay present in new emotions, new roles, and new levels of visibility without collapsing back into the old patterns. Use repetition and micro behaviors to make the new identity predictable. When the new patterns feel normal, your subconscious adopts them automatically. Identity shifting is not becoming someone else. It's removing the layers of conditioning that kept you from recognizing who you already were. Final review of this topic. Identity is not who you are, it is who your subconscious believes you must be to survive. So rewrite the belief, rewrite the reactions, rewrite the system, and rewrite your reality. My name is Filip, and thank you for watching the video. See you later.